I'm Jamie Morgan Cross, and I'm a producer, writer, director, actress, and I also own a company called Bright Shift. I'm very honored to be here today to talk about Daisy Bates. We've heard about Rosa Parks, we've heard about MLK and many others, but we haven't heard about her. She is an integral part of the civil rights movement and the desegregation of the South. She was the leader of the NAACP branch in Arkansas, and she led the Little Rock Nine. Daisy Bates was actually born Daisy Lee Gatson in November 11th, 1914. She was born to Hezekiah Gatson and Millie Riley. Millie Riley, her mother, was raped and murdered when Daisy was a very small child. Her body was thrown into a mill pond, and the officials did absolutely nothing about it. There was no investigation. That was that. Her father, Hezekiah, it was too much for him, and so he just disappeared. Daisy found out about her mother's death when she was only 8 years old. So she was raised by Orson Smith and Susie Smith. She and Orson had a very close relationship, and on his deathbed said to her, "Hate can destroy you, Daisy. Don't hate white people just because they're white. Make it count for something. Hate the humiliations we are living under in the South. Hate the discrimination that eats away at the soul of every black man and woman. Hate the insults hurled at us by white scum. And then try to do something about it, or your hate won't spell a thing." And so she did. Daisy met Lucius Bates when she was only 15 years old. They married when she was 17 and moved to Little Rock, Arkansas, and started the Arkansas State Press. Because Arkansas refused to go by what the Brown versus Board of Education ruling was, which was to end segregation, the NAACP was getting everyone on the same page. They were doing that through the Arkansas Press, of course, run through Bates. And this was one of the headlines. "It is the belief of this paper that since the Negro's loyalty to America has forced him to shed blood on foreign battlefields to safeguard constitutional rights, he is in no mood to sacrifice these rights for peace and harmony at home." Many of the black citizens of the time had fought in the war. They were coming back to a country that was not giving them constitutional rights. They were starting to make some traction on desegregation when Governor Orville Faubus prevented the black students from coming. President Eisenhower called in the National Guard to protect those students so that they could enter the school. It was absolute pandemonium. There was all sorts of provocateurs coming in from different parts of the country. She actually had ministers stand in between them and the crowds to protect the kids the first time they came in. And her house was a headquarters for those 9 children. She became a member of the PTA even though she didn't have any children at school. She called each one of the Little Rock Nine's parents throughout the day to update them on their safety. Everyone knew how to find her. And one day they came home and there was a 6-foot-tall cross in the front yard, lit on fire at dusk, that said, "KKK, go back to Africa." That's one of the things that amazes me most about Daisy is that she knew how her mother was killed. For her to continue in that environment with that bravery, that's a kind of courage I just can't even imagine. After a year of them being able to tend Central High, it sent a profound message to the South. Desegregation was the way things were going to be. She was unstoppable.